Natalie, are you ready for Chapter 9?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Well then, define marketing information.
Marketing information is the everyday stuff we need to know about the marketing environment. And the system with which we gather info is called a DSS, or Decision Support System. What does that amount to?
First off, it's got to be interactive so managers can get immediate results. Second, the data of a DSS must be flexible, shifting gears as the user changes topics. So the CEO can get profit figures and marketing analysts can see breakouts.
It's also discovery-oriented. Managers can probe for trends, isolate problems, and ask what-if questions.
What if the managers aren't that skilled with a computer?
If it's a good DSS, they shouldn't have to be because it's accessible.
So a DSS is a tool in database marketing which relies on specific intelligence for successful one-to-one marketing.
Okay. Now define marketing research.
Marketing research is the process of planning, collecting, and analyzing data relevant to a marketing decision.
Another gold star for you, Eric. Can you name some tools in this research process?
Primary and secondary data. But let's discuss secondary data first.
How daring! Secondary data refers to data previously collected for any purpose other than the one at hand. Once upon a time, the gathering of secondary data was just about as tedious as it gets. Would you like to take a wild guess why that's no longer the case?
Could it be the net?
You got it. The effect of the internet, or more specifically the web, on this kind of research cannot be overestimated. Want to be sure you get a job right out of college? Specialize in marketing research.
Why's that?
The research aggregation industry is a $100 million business, which is growing by 6% each year.
I've got a friend who makes a good living simply by acquiring, reformatting, and reselling reports already published by other marketing research firms.
Sure, lots of people do. But what does your buddy do when the secondary data he's collected isn't sufficient? Or worse, there is no existing secondary data that can help his client.
I guess he apologizes? No, he hands the client off to another firm that does primary data collection.
Primary because
the information is collected for the first time and used for solving the particular problem under investigation. Think of it like this. Secondary information is secondhand. It's already been collected for someone else for another purpose or project. Primary research goes right to the source.
So say Pillsbury has 2 new recipes for some new slice-and-bake sugar cookies. Marketers won't know which one consumers will like better until they do the primary research, i.e. surveys, focus groups, and observation.
Right. And to find out which one consumers like better, the marketers have to ask questions.
Duh.
Well, yeah, it sounds simple, but drafting questions that produce meaningful answers is no easy task.
You could just ask, do you like better slice-and-bake A or slice-and-bake B?
But what if the person doesn't like either? Then what's she going to say? And how will the marketer record it?
I see your point.
What might be better is a dichotomous question, like, do you like cookie A? Or even a scaled response question. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you like cookie A? Then give a scale with 1 being you hate the cookie and wouldn't even feed it to the dog, and 10 being you would eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
So questions are important to primary data collection methods of survey and focus groups, to name just 3.
You only named 2.
Just testing you, Eric. Actually, I was trying to illustrate a point about errors, which must be anticipated whenever you try to analyze marketing research samples. You want to take a stab at why?
It's the nature of the sample as a concept. Say you're conducting a survey about people who prefer dry dog food over wet.
Stop right there. People who prefer dog food?
You know what I mean. You can't question all the consumers in the target market, so you take a sample. But taking a sample is not foolproof. What are some of the things that can go wrong with this type of data collection?
The respondents interviewed might not accurately represent the targeted population. That's called a frame error.
Can you give me a for instance?
For instance, you wanted to find out how many coffee drinkers are drinking Starbucks. You wouldn't use the Chicago telephone directory because you wouldn't have any idea how many of those people drink coffee in the first place.
So if you did use the phone book, that would be a framing error?
Right. You have to find a way to pinpoint the coffee drinkers. After that, there's still the possibility of random errors. Sticking with the Starbucks example for the moment, let's say you gather data on Wednesday, showing that 16% of all coffee drinkers prefer Starbucks. The next day, using the same procedures, only 14% say they drink Starbucks. What happened?
Random error.
Right. Another major problem you may encounter while collecting marketing data is called a measurement error.
Such an error occurs, for example, when a respondent tells an interviewer that they buy Crest toothpaste when in actuality they don't.
Why would anybody do that?
Do what?
Lie to an interviewer.
Lie to an interviewer? I can think of a dozen reasons. Say some guy likes a certain kind of underwear. You know, like jockey shorts, which his mother always bought for him when he was a kid. He's grown now and knows that lots of people think boxers are more manly, but he's used to the kind he's always worn. Some marketing dude catches him at the right time, say while his buddies are with him playing poker, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I wear boxers."
So people lie to marketers for the same reason they lie to other people, because they are embarrassed by the truth?
Among other things, they may just tell the researcher what they think he wants to hear.
Now, once we've got our data, we have to analyze and draw conclusions. Do you remember the simplest method for doing this?
The simplest method for analyzing data is the one-way frequency count, which records the responses to a single question, such as, what brand of toothpaste do you buy most often? If we asked around the dorm, we might find 35 people use Crest, 57 people use Colgate, 25 people use Rembrandt, etc. That's a one-way frequency count.
Good. What do we call it if we also take down the gender of the respondent?
That would be cross-tabulation.
And that would tell us what exactly?
A crosstab would tell you the differences between preferences according to some variable, like gender or even income, race, age, you get the point. The dorm survey would tell us what percentage of guys use Crest versus girls that use Crest, guys that use Colgate versus girls that use Colgate, and so on.
Okay, so then what?
Then we prepare a report of our findings and make an appointment to present it to the man. The conclusion should include our recommendations.
Who's the man?
You know, the man. The client.
Ah, got it. That's the perfect answer.
Thanks.
If we were living in the 1980s. But in the internet era, 88% of all U.S. research firms do their work online. So you wouldn't necessarily go to see the man or the client. What are some of the advantages of an internet survey over the old way?
Net surveys can be developed and implemented quite rapidly. Not to mention they yield almost instant results.
Don't forget the costs are drastically reduced by as much as 40% over old-school canvassing methods. Questions and data are more easily personalized, and response rates are higher since online surveys take less time and can be completed whenever it's most convenient for the parties involved.
Also, the net makes it easier to contact certain hard-to-reach, high-income professionals like doctors and marketing students.
You're funny. Another new development is online focus groups. Participants are paid to log onto a particular site at a scheduled time, but focus groups, even online, can barely keep up with the fast-moving world of youth trends. That's where Dee Dee Gordon and Sharon Lee step in.
The forward founders of Look. Remind me, how did they claw their way to the top of the youthquake prediction biz?
By creating a network of spies and experts that the CIA would envy. 35,000 young people recruited at clubs and malls from New York to LA.
Really? Who are they?
Some are volunteers who just like to party and report on their adventures. Others are part-time employees who upload images from their lives. Just about anything these kids are doing has some kind of value to marketers, be it as banal as manga posters on their bedroom walls.
You know what's funny? No matter how hip and now the folks at Look think they are, they can't afford to let down their guard for a moment.
Why's that?
Because of the reality of instant digital feedback. Blogs, text messages, and video hosting sites like MySpace and YouTube cause trends to flash and dissipate before most of us even know they existed.
I still know what's cool.
Sorry, Natalie, you don't.
I don't?
If you did, you'd know how uncool it is to use the word cool.
Cool is classic.
It might be classic, but hot is the new cool.
Really?
How should I know? But see how I got you all worried that you didn't know what was cool? That's exactly how the dinosaurs running big business from music and movies to, well, toothpaste feel. They have to ask their 12-year-old kids what's cool.
Or hire Look.
Maybe.
Look's success is well documented. Old-school corporations like Procter & Gamble and Coca-Cola have hired them to keep them up to speed with the teen customers. And when Microsoft wanted to target the growing female audience for video games, it went to Look. Dee Dee and Sharon shipped the games to their teenage volunteers who tested them and then blogged about them on the web.
But new marketing technology doesn't stop with the web.
But wait, there's more?
Yeah, there's scanner-based research.
Right. What's that again?
It's a system of gathering research data from a single group. Not only does it monitor the things they buy, it looks at the advertising, promotion, and pricing they're exposed to. The two major scanner-based suppliers are Information Resources Incorporated, or IRI, and the AC Nielsen Company.
The latter being the famous providers of the Nielsen ratings for television.
Right, but it's IRI that came up with InfoScan, a successful product that tracks buying trends for the consumer packaged goods industry. You know, food, toiletries, cleaning products, candy. Retail sales and other info is tracked through the universal barcode at over 32,000 retail outlets.
So that means that every time I buy makeup, a marketer knows the color and type?
Maybe not every time, but marketers will know in a given week how much of each color and kind is selling and where. They don't necessarily know that you, Natalie, like blue eyeshadow.
Very funny.
So Natalie, now that we've covered the different methods of marketing research, let's talk about the right time to do it.
I memorized this. It's like a mathematical formula. When the expected value of the information is greater than the cost of obtaining it.
Exactly. The benefits have to outweigh the costs. Now, what do you call the kind of marketing research that was derived from the CIA's method of gathering military intelligence? I'll give you a hint. Just like the CIA wants to know about the weapons and military strength of our enemies, corporations want to know about the products of their competitors.
Competitive intelligence.
Well done! Can you use it in a sentence?
Toyota used competitive intelligence to find out that GM was releasing the Volt, an electric car with a low sticker price, so they started working on their own version.
That's right. I heard the Volt is super cool.
Hot.
Huh?
The Volt is super hot.
Ha!